But on the same token, it's very challenging to actually find what you're looking for, right? And people get confused when you have 100 pages or even 20 pages. Like, what am I looking for? What do I need? FAQs might be missing some information, right? So the AI chatbot allows you to streamline that process and find what you're looking for in real time.
So do you think your product or your services is going to be the direction for Zing?
I think services for sure for the next few years. I think eventually like the product side will probably be, much higher. As of now, it's pretty much zero. Maybe it'll be like, 20, 30, 40%.
How many years have you been established for Zing?
So it's been about 3 years now. We started in 2022, but I've been doing this full time for a year and a half. I used to be in consulting. So obviously full time, as you probably know, is a very different cadence than part time sort of side hustle. But yeah, 3 years in total, but a year and a half full time.
Welcome to Future Driven. I'm Adam Lejeunekopp, and on this podcast, we talk about challenges and wins in business. See the vision, drive the future. Okay, welcome to Future Driven Podcast, episode 54 with my new friend, Dan Melnick. Dan, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I came across Zing and your profile as we were looking for potential guests and really intrigued to see a little bit about or to learn more about your agency, your development agency and the work that you do. But before we kind of get into today, give us a little bit of your career background. Tell us about Dan and posts or your career up to Zing.
Awesome. So yeah, I grew up in the Chicago suburbs. For me, I was always very into sports collectibles and started off as more of a hobby when I was 12. I used to collect baseball cards and get autographs. When I was 17, one of my friends said, "Hey, like you don't really need to have five signed cards that are the same player. You can just sell four and keep one." So I started selling on eBay. And that kind of turned into like a bit of a small business. Went to college, majored in supply chain management in parallel, running that business, getting lots of autographs, selling them online. And then over time, work corporate jobs, working in consulting. And in parallel, I had this vision to build a mobile app. And from that standpoint, I was looking for different developers, was not super technical. This was actually 5 years ago. And just by chance happened to meet my current co-founder, Kasim, who built my mobile app for me. And then a couple of years later, he's like, "Hey, why don't we work together and start bidding on some projects?" So we bid on one project like on Upwork, and the client is actually the CTO is based here in Austin. They had raised about 15 million and they loved our work. So they gave me validation in my mind. Like it's one thing if I think we're good, but these guys like are legit. And went full time with Zing a year and a half ago and been growing ever since. So that's, I guess, a bit of my story.
Nice. So what Chicago suburb did you grow up in?
It's called Buffalo Grove.
Okay. I grew up in Palatine and Inverness.
Okay, awesome. Small world. Like I went to Stevenson High School. So
Okay. Nice. Same Viator High School.
awesome.
Well, that's great. So, but now you said you're in Austin, Texas?
Yeah, so I moved to Dallas at first in 2020, about 4 years ago now. And then about 6 months ago, so after living in the DFW Metroplex for 3.5 years, I moved to Austin. So yeah, I've been in Austin for the last 6 months and I love it here. It's fantastic. Great for founders, for tech, for e-commerce. I think it's a great city. So
Okay. And then are you specific to e-commerce for Zing?
a lot of our clients are in the e-commerce vertical. When it comes to our performance marketing business, we only do e-commerce. When it comes to our custom software development, we're pretty much industry agnostic. So we have hardware clients, we have clients in early stage startups for MVPs, we have clients that use us for implementation, integration. So it's really industry agnostic. But yeah, e-commerce is a big focus for us because many of our clients are at least e-commerce adjacent, you could say. So
Okay. And so let's dig into the e-commerce part a little bit. So why build your own platform versus like leveraging something off of like Shopify? What are the advantages and disadvantages of that?
yeah, we use Shopify for a lot of our clients. Shopify, BigCommerce is great. WooCommerce is great. Each platform has your own advantages. Like BigCommerce is good if you want to have more flexibility, more customizations. Shopify, there are some limits, right? Because Shopify, if you're selling in a more restricted category, they only allow their payments, and their payment is oftentimes not friendly for quote unquote, more restricted products like CBD. So we do recommend BigCommerce or even WooCommerce in those instances. It really just depends on kind of what you're looking to build out. We have clients that are quote unquote e-commerce, but not your traditional e-commerce. They might have other modules where you have maybe medical professionals logging in or people having to sign in through a code, right? So there's much more than people just being able to go and log in like on their site. So it really just depends on what type of customizations you have and what use case you have in your business.
Okay. And obviously, like you mentioned, there's a whole bunch of different ways that e-commerce can go. And so what we're talking about are websites, but also mobile apps. Are you also developing mobile apps as well as desktop apps and websites?
Correct. Yeah. So mobile apps and web apps typically wouldn't be for e-commerce. Like sometimes there are apps that have some e-commerce functionality where, you built like one marketplace for a client where people are, so like it's not actually e-commerce per se, but there is some of that where people can go in and, rent an item, check out, so there's a lot of those things for mobile apps, but typically like if you have your own e-com store, a mobile app, I'm always kind of on the fence about how much value that it can actually give. If you have a big retail play, then yeah, of course, mobile apps are super helpful because it allows you, your customers to scan a QR code, maybe like, get some points, things like that. But in terms of D2C, if your website is mobile optimized, that's usually good enough. So,
Yeah. So let's move away from e-commerce and dig into more of the development outside of that. What and which kind of goes into where I was leading us, which was mobile apps, web apps. Give us an example of a recent project you've done in the mobile and or web app space.
yeah, so we've worked on several projects. A couple of the more recent ones, I would say, are more proprietary. So I can't really disclose the full extent of it. I mean, I can disclose the clients per se, but I can't really get into too much detail.
Sure.
Like one of our clients, Glass Media, they're digital sign company. So we help them build a software to kind of help better manage their signage, like on the software side. So that was what we did for them, and that's like a more recent project. So they're truly a hardware company, and they used us to outsource their software development.
So
And
dig into that a little bit more. So they're a sign company and they have a whole bunch of inventory out there.
they have digital signs, yeah. So, for example, they have a contract with Victoria's Secret, so they
Yep.
have the signs in the mall, and so we built a software that can help better manage that process. Where before it was a software where they were, it was not theirs. They were paying money every month. They didn't own it. It was not an IP, but now it's their software. We added lots of customizations to it, and we're still working on it to this day because there's a lot of opportunities there when it comes to what their clients need, right? They have clients all across the country, and they really try to be a white glove service for them where, their clients come to them and say, listen, I need this for this store, that for that store. So we are, there supporting them every step of the way.
So that's interesting that so this is an internal use case, right? So
Exactly.
they're tracking maybe uptime on the ads or something or availability. What are some of the things that they're tracking internally with your software?
Yeah, it's more about content. It's more about what they're able to upload. So yeah, there's obviously lots of metric, but it allows their customers to go and upload whatever content they want at any time, where before it was kind of they had to be more physically present, but now they can be anywhere anytime, upload this content from an iPad, and it's super easy to use. But yeah, it's an internal tool. It's proprietary. It's their product, and that's essentially what it is for them. So
Yeah. No, that's great. And so then they're utilizing it internally and then, then they don't need to utilize any third-party programs, send it to me this way, email, etc.
right.
It's one channel, one direction. There's limited mistakes, limited human error, and it allows them to be more streamlined in their processes and so forth, right?
Yeah, that and allows them to give more value for their clients, right? Because, when they own the software, and that's what I always say, right? Like when you own your own software, you have full ability to make any changes, updates, flexibility. When you're renting something, quote unquote, it's very difficult to add customizations. And especially in 2024, and as we go into 2025, more and more companies are looking for this kind of white glove solution. How can this software work for my business? And this kind of off the shelf solution is always, helpful and beneficial, but there are lots of limitations unless you're able to go in there and make those changes and updates to make it work specifically for your business.
And so with that example you were talking about with the signage company, is that just a web app
It's a
or is it
mobile
also
app.
a
I
mobile
think
app
it's a
as well?
mobile app. Yeah.
Are you seeing a lot of people that are going to be uploading things via mobile, or is it more that they're managing it or watching it, or
They're managing it from mobile. It's a proprietary app that it's only for them, and it's just they can,
yeah,
it's an app it's like an iPad where they have to do it through like a certain login, and not anybody can just go and download and use it. So
right? That's cool. So what's another example of something you guys have done?
yeah, so one of our first clients, the company that I mentioned is called Vessel Health. So they actually just went out of business recently, unfortunately, but that was a really cool app that we worked on where somebody would urinate on a card and you could scan the card and understand your health levels based on urine samples. It's sort of like a marketplace where you could work with healthcare professionals to say, okay, based on my urine results, like here's my health levels, maybe I'm not hydrated enough, I'm not getting like enough sleep, like like my nutrition is missing XYZ vitamins, right? So it's like a really cool project that use AI and machine learning where you could really go and scan, this card and understand how you're feeling afterwards.
And is it a special card or any card?
It's a special card.
So
So
you got to
when
get the
you
card
when you
first.
signed up, yeah, when you signed up, they would send you a card in the mail, and then you
Yeah.
would get the card and use that card. So
Well, it's yeah, sounds like an interesting project to work on.
yeah, it was cool. Yeah, it's a very interesting project, and yeah, unfortunately, that I think that they just at least like temporarily are out of business. I don't. I mean, we worked on this in a couple years back. Like just kind of how we got started. It was like a really cool project to work on, especially at the time that goes during COVID. So like a lot of things going on.
Yep. So you mentioned AI. What are you seeing with different tools? How are you building that out natively into your applications?
Yeah, I mean, AI is everywhere, right? We even built our own tool, an AI chatbot called Zing which we launched a few months back, and that's for customer service. Yeah, AI is everywhere, and it's a matter of doing what you can to allow people to use it, right? Because AI is going to be there. Now, when it comes to coding, AI can help you code, but I always warn people that OpenAI is open source, right? So if you're working on proprietary software, which we often are, we're not going to go to OpenAI and code, right? So, many companies, large companies, have built their own apps to make it easier for their developers to write code. But yeah, I mean, AI when it comes to coding is important. We built several AI tools. I mean, that's one of them. We worked on like a different AI product, like a mobile app called Dream Sage, where we built this app where people can go and enter in their dreams and use AI to interpret it, right? So we're definitely working a lot in the Gen AI space, and there is a big demand for it. And I think every organization today is figuring out how do you best utilize AI in 2024.
Yeah, no, for sure. So one of the things that I wonder, and we build a lot of Webflow websites in particular, and so we get a lot of inquiries about search, and so and we haven't quite done it yet, but I got to believe that AI, some sort of AI plugin or custom AI solution can take over for search in the website or in your case the app. What is break down a little bit of how that would work a little bit and what that would look like?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, in terms of search, I mean, so yeah, I mean, for example, like our AI chatbot, it's a pretty high level tool for navigation, right? So
Yeah.
it's more of like website navigation, meaning that, you know, many websites today are super thorough, super informative, which is fantastic. But on the same token, it's very challenging to actually find what you're looking for, right? And people get confused when you have 100 pages or even 20 pages. Like, what am I looking for? What do I need? FAQs might be missing some information, right? So the AI chatbot allows you to streamline that process and find what you're looking for in real time. That way, you can just go and search for it. Say, hey, listen, let's just use e-commerce as an example. Like, I'm looking for shorts for my son. It's like, okay, well, what sports does he play? It's like, how old is he? What color does he like? Right? It's like asking these questions to kind of have this conversation so that AI can guide you to actually buy the right pair of shorts for your son. Right? So things like that, where yeah, it just makes things so much easier. And of course, having a live agent, a live human is great, but if you look at the cost, it obviously costs a lot more. So if you can save money and maximize efficiency with 24/7 search responses per se, it's just a fantastic tool.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what we're talking about with the searching and it becomes it's which is the whole idea of it, right? It's like your own little assistant, right? And it cuts through the noise. And because if you think about how little people spend on websites, right? Like how little time they want to come there, they want to solve their problem and they want to move on. Maybe they come in multiple times, but they're coming for a specific reason. Nobody's just kind of coming and just kind of hanging out unless there's just a real reason to do so. And so being able to search through queries is going to be and is the way. And so you're already what's I guess could you give me a little bit more specific on some AI features that you're building out on your programs or your apps?
Yeah, for the AI chatbot, specifically, it's really just a customer service tool. So
Yep.
it's like, we train it based on website data, but also any additional data because, many, especially in ecom, if you're selling a more complex product like a CPG product where, people are consuming this product or supplement, there's a lot of information and you probably have a lot of, CX documentation because you're getting lots of, emails or phone calls to customer service. People are asking about this product. When do I use it? What's it for? All these different questions. So if you can get those questions answered in real time, it allows a user to really go and buy the product or not buy the product if it's not a good fit for them, right? So it's really just streamlining things, maximizing efficiency, and allowing people to buy the product as soon as possible without wasting too much time on the website.
Right. So with Zing in particular, you guys work on project, you work with clients. How many years have you been established for as Zing?
So it's been about 3 years now. We started in 2022, but I've been doing this full time for a year and a half. I used to be in consulting, so obviously, full time, as you probably know, is a very different cadence than part time sort of side hustle. But yeah, 3 years in total, but a year and a half full time.
And how big's your core team?
So I have one partner in Pakistan. We have an office there, about 40 engineers, and then I have one partner in New Jersey, and then we have a team of marketers and virtual assistants in the Philippines. So about 10 people in the Philippines. So give or take about 50 folks.
Okay. And so you can scale up or down as you need and as you get clients.
Exactly. Yeah. And my co-founder in Pakistan, Qasim, he's very well connected. So we have a great talent pool of developers. He's been a dev. He started working on apps when the first iPhone came out. So he's been doing it for about 17 years now. And he's not coding anymore, but he's managing our team. But he has lots of connections that work with him way back in the day and have started their own companies. So we do have a great talent pool in Lahore, Pakistan, for sure.
Great. So what is next for Zing? What do you see the next 5 to 10 years in what you're doing and the type of clients you're working with and so forth?
Yeah, I think continuing to scale up from the services side. I think one channel that we've looked at, is on our website. We haven't done any projects yet, but government contracts for sure. It's always intriguing. May bring in some more developers here in the states as well. Being in Austin, we have a great talent pool of developers, so it's something that we are looking into. I think from the SaaS product side, probably pushing our AI chatbot more, getting more feedback, adding more features. How do we get more people using this product? As of now, we have like a really lean sales team. It's mostly just me, so we haven't been pushing out that product so much because it's only $70 a month, but it's a great product, and we do value like the feedback for. So as of now, we're not even charging for it. So if people want a free AI chatbot, you can always reach out to me.
Okay. So I didn't realize when you were talking about it earlier that that's a standalone product that is available as a bolt on to any existing website or application.
Correct. Yeah, it's called Zing
So
Chat. Yeah.
is that querying just the website or all the internet?
So there's a back end to ChatGPT, but it's trained in a way where it's not going to go out of the scope, right? So if you ask a question about Taylor Swift or some celebrity, it's not going to talk about it. So it's just going to say, "Hey, listen, I don't know. Shoot me an email or call me. Here is a flow." But yeah, I mean, it queries the website and whatever additional documentation that we're provided. So if they have, like I said, CX documentation or any additional documentation that they want the bot to be trained on, we'll add that. But in terms of just a standard process, it's just querying, whatever information we're being fed.
Right. So do you think your product or your services is going to be the direction for Zing?
I think services for sure for the next few years. I think eventually like, the product side will probably be, much higher. As of now, it's pretty much zero. Maybe it'll be like, 20, 30, 40%.
Yeah.
It's kind of just seeing, which way things go. I think the interesting thing is, and I was talking to somebody about this earlier, is that you have a lot of these SaaS products that people build, and it's become very much this red ocean where you have a lot of these very similar products. It's hard to stand out. And to me, it's like, I don't want to just build something just to, you know, make, make some quick cash. I'm looking to really add value. So if we can find, opportunities to add value and make products where people can really benefit, then I'm always for that. But I don't want to just build like another cold outreach tool or some basic chatbot, which is why we're trying to make it as high level as possible.
Nice. Well, that's good, man. So, well, congrats on all your success with Zing and looking forward to staying connected in everything that you're doing. We'll put a link, we'll put links and everything. And it can people find out more about the AI chat bot on your website or do they email you? What's that
It's on the
cadence?
website. Yeah. If you go to myzing.io, you can find information. There's a tab called Zing Chat, and you can read more about Zing Chat on the website as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Dan, and looking forward to seeing Zing in the future.